Hello, everyone. Welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Gaurav Goel, who is the founder of Toprankers, which is India's largest platform for careers beyond medical and engineering. Hi, Gaurav. Welcome to ELI.
Hey, hi, thanks for having me.
I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience and tell us about your non-entrepreneurial journey and where were you born and brought up, where did you study, and what was your life prior to entrepreneurship?
Hey, I come from a city called Muzaffarnagar. It's a small town in UP. I come from that background. I did my initial education in Delhi for first few years. Then I moved to Muzaffarnagar. Did some part of my education there. Then my engineering from a college in Agra. Moved to Bangalore in 2008. Worked with a company called FaceTime, which later the name got acquired by Apple. Then worked with Informatica, left my job in 2012. So it's been over 11 years. I'm an entrepreneur who is learning and who's building stuffs.
So when did you think about बहुत काम कर लिया अच्छे कंपनी में कर लिया, now it's time for entrepreneurship?
So in my case, it was slightly different. In fact, as I mentioned, I come from Muzaffarnagar. My father had a wholesale medicine shop, and I used to sit on his business, help him to kind of conduct that whenever I get some time from the school. And fortunately, as part of that journey, I was counting a lot of note bundles, right? क्योंकि दुकान पे बैठते थे, used to count a lot of note
Right.
bundles. As part of counting those note bundles, I was able to attain a speed which was pretty decent. And I was also able to fold a note which is not right? So fake note. My father has seen me doing that a couple of times, and he said, I think now this guy is attaining a lot of interest in the business, and he didn't want me to continue with that business. So he asked me to do engineering. So that way, that kid of doing something on my own was always there. So I started my first company when I was in my college in 2007, and I was also working. I started working in 2008. So for about 5 years of my career, I have done it parallelly, and then I left my job. So slightly different experience.
So entrepreneurship started before you were an employee or you worked anywhere.
Yes.
So was it Toprankers when you started, or what kind of company you start with?
No, so my first company was related to IT certifications. Basically, if you want to write any certification, whether it's Oracle, Microsoft, ITL, PMP, you used to buy a voucher, which is a 1-year valid voucher. You write that exam going to a Pearson and Prometric. I found an opportunity there which was quite different from a very regular entrepreneurship opportunity. I bought that voucher for myself since I wanted to write an certification exam. It was a 15,000 rupees voucher. I got it at 3,000 rupees because it was expiring on that same day. Every voucher you buy from any of these companies come with 1-year validity.
Okay.
So I got it at 3,000 rupees from a company called NIIT. I wrote my SCJP, became Java certified. And I realized, oh, this is a good business opportunity. The way I got it, somebody else would be also looking at writing this exam. So I started trading those vouchers. I sold my first voucher to my current wife, and she was my girlfriend at that time in my college.
Wow.
So she was my first customer. And though I've not made much money through that because yeah, it would eventually will not work out. So yeah, so that's how I started. Then I came to Bangalore, and my sister was doing a couple of things around that domain. So we joined hands together, started building it up. And one fine day we realized that everything which is getting expired in India is working in US for another 12 and a half hours because of a time arbitrage. So we have build a large business in time arbitrage. We used to buy things from an economy or from a time zone which is ahead, and we used to sell it in a time zone which is behind. So that's how I created my first business on time arbitrage. Okay. And so that's where that's
Give
the
us some
foundation.
examples. What kind of products would
So
fit?
suppose you want to write an exam, which is say PMP. So everybody knows the project management certification. Suppose the exam fees is $555. You go and buy a voucher for that or any exam, Microsoft Oracle. This will be a 1 year validity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it is expiring, and if you bought it for yourself, you're not writing that exam. It is of no worth to you, but it is of a equal $555 value for someone who's writing that exam that day.
Mm.
So for you, it's of no uses, but for that guy, it's of that worth. So is to buy it from people who are not writing those exams and sell it to the people who are writing those exams.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm buying that voucher from you today at 6 o'clock in the evening, it is still valuable for somebody in US because he still have the entire day to write that exam.
Correct.
So this was the time arbitrage voucher business. This was my first company. Pretty successful venture, made some decent money there, and then I left my job.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you left your job to continue that business, or did you have a big
Yeah,
idea?
so I continued that business for some time, and then I've started gaining a lot of interest in doing something around education because this first venture was quite successful. So I started building some e-learning products. I built those days there were tools like Adobe Captivates, Articulate Storyline. So built a couple of courses again pertaining to IT certification, sold it to a couple of large brands in the country. So this was all B2B. So though I started B2C, but everything then moved to B2B. And in 2015, from the time the Toprankers ecosystem originated, I exited from that business to my sister, and she's operating that business right now. And in 2015-16, this entire thought process of building Toprankers came up. And because I knew that there are a lot of people who are coming from small town like me, uh, who are who have faced difficulties in finding their first jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of graduates who are preparing for bank, SSC, railways. Ultimately, the aim is to find a job. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought let's do something around that domain. Exams were going online. I had some experience that if exam will go online, so if IT certification went online, its preparation also went online. So that's how brands like Simply Learn, Edureka have evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Similar thing when exams have went online in government preparation, I also thought that the preparation will also move online. So
Right.
this is how I started Toprankers with this thought, and started building it like a marketplace. Did it for about 4 years in phase one of Toprankers. Then COVID struck, raised about 14, 15 crores in that ecosystem. Um, we had over couple of hundred customers on B2B side and a market. So everything was going pretty well. A team of 160 plus. Revenues have started coming decently. And then when COVID hit us, our investors said that, boss, we cannot invest any more money
Mm.
and do something about it. So they asked us to sell these assets. So I sold one of my business, which was Vidu, to a brand called Class Plus. I
Mm-hmm.
sold another business, which was SSC business, to a brand called Olive Board. And I bought back the entire Top Rankers business with one of my new co-founders. And that's how we started 2.0 journey of Top Rankers. So I've seen a time where I've started building a business, raised capital, has started working well, and during COVID, everything fall flat, and then kind of started building that business again. So right now we are at ecosystem where this 160 members team went down to about 2025. Now we are again about 400 plus, started doing pretty well in
Wow.
this ecosystem. Yeah, so I've seen a full-fledged entrepreneurial curve
Correct.
recently.
So, what are the current products and services we have?
Got it. So after that bank SSC railways ecosystem, we realized that I think in India there are a lot of students who are now aiming at doing something else in their career. If you look at your role, right, you're doing podcasts. If you look at roles like investment banking, YouTubers, uh, roles like digital marketers, roles like corporate lawyers, IP lawyers, a lot of new roles which have evolved in this country. And there's no single platform in the country who is helping students to get into these roles. So we decided that I think because there are a lot of successful roles which now exist, which were not there earlier, or even if they were there, it was not visible to everyone, right? So suppose there is a guy who was a digital marketer. Now, a young boy growing up in his vicinity can see this guy living a good life. So he can also aim to now become a digital marketer. And so we realized that I think this is a time when this a platform like this can start taking up its shape. And that's where we revamped the entire Toprankers ecosystem into its 2.0 version. And from bank, SSC, railways, we moved towards building the largest platform for careers beyond engineering and medicine. Now, today we have over 5 million users on the platform, do help students to figure out what is the right career for them, help them to build careers around law, management, arts, humanities, design, architecture. A lot of, and there's a new exam which got added recently called CUET. So yeah, so I think it's a completely new ecosystem, and we're doing fairly decent. So that's where we are.
Is it a marketplace model, or do you?
Now it's no more a marketplace model. 100% of the stuff which we do are owned by us. It's our own teachers, own content. We are doing it both online and offline. So everything on our own. That marketplace model has shifted from after 2020 when we did transactions and sold a SaaS product to Class Plus.
Hmm. So after COVID, right, many of the EdTech companies kind of face this difficulty of bringing back the students who were logging in, but now going to the real classrooms. So that way, the EdTech kind of as an industry has taken a fall. Any impact of that thing Top Ranker has faced, and how are
I
you?
think if you look at it this way, that say pre-COVID era, the offline to online ratio was about 75-25. Okay, pre-COVID. During COVID era, everything moved online. But I think everybody knew that this is this is not it's going to be for long, right? Because ultimately things will move offline. So I think a lot of people say that edtech companies have got ahead because they were looking at the revenues which they have done during COVID era, right? So, and everybody, at least I know a lot of founders who are aware about this, that it's not going to be the same, right? So, yeah, I think this has changed, and every company have taken different strategy to kind of handle that situation. In 2020-21, we were 100% online. 21-22, we were 80% online. 22-23, we were 65% online. This year, we are projected to do about 50%. So revenues are growing, but the split of online and offline is getting changed. So now we have about 17, 18 centers which are running. So I think every company, based on what products they are offering, in a product offering like us, where most of the students are coming from 11th and 12th domain, after a couple of design thinking exercise, we figured out that if you have a good offline learning ecosystem between 5 to 10 kilometers of the vicinity of your house, the student will prefer an offline ecosystem. And if it's not there, then he will prefer go for an online ecosystem. And this data is different for UG, it is different for PG, it is different for test prep, it is different for skilling, right? So we fall largely into a UG test prep category. Whatever we do for PG test prep and skilling, the analogy for that is very different. So particularly for us, we have grown significantly. I think from pre-COVID till now, we are about 14x of our revenues.
Wow.
Which is about 1400% growth. Yeah.
Tell us about the pivots. I think you have done multiple pivots to your venture, about your current ones and the earlier ones as well. And sometimes you did it for a better opportunity. Sometimes it was need of the hour. Tell us about what are the things that are common with pivot, how they are triggered, and more importantly, sometimes you have to lay off few people, unfortunately. So how does that experience affect you as a founder? how does it go?
So I think every company to find their product market fit, to find a path which is scalable, make some pivots. Okay. I think it is important for every founder to understand that it's okay to take a pivot, right? So sometimes let's not be very rigid to your thought that this is how this needs to be done. So I think a lot of people say that you should be sure where you want to go. So your vision should not change, but the path, how do you want to achieve that vision, can change. And I think you can take pivots accordingly. So I think in our ecosystem also we have taken some pivots, and you need to be really sure while you are taking those pivots, because you have an existing ecosystem which is working, which is give you X. Now when you pivot, you again need to start from zero. So that 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100, if you're taking a pivot in 1 to 10, you're again starting from 0 to 1. But it's okay. I think as a founder, uh, you get that vibe, or you get that instinct that okay, this is the right thing to do. uh, Second is, I think, in terms of while taking pivots, sometimes people feel that you need an absolutely new team. I think that's not really required every time. You can be very honest to your team members that, boss, see, this is where we were, this is what we are trying to achieve. These are the new rules, this is what is available to you. And I think in our case, we realized that when we have gone down from 160 to 25, and then we have again started building team, a lot of older guys have again joined back, and they're still part of that growth journey. So I think those things will also happen with every founder. But I think it's a difficult experience, because in a startup it's very difficult for you to build a team. You curate and hire each person, work with them, and
Mm,
when you have to let go anybody from that curated list of guys, it's a very, very tough decision.
right.
So I've seen that once as part of this journey. I don't want to see it ever again. I hire very consciously right now. We don't overhire a lot of people in this ecosystem. But yes, it's tough, very, very tough.
Mm.
And yeah, I think sometimes if you keep your company in the forefront and think that if this is the best thing for the company, I think you need to take these decisions.
As founders, being a founder is a multi-skilled job. You need to be good at a lot of things to run a company. But sometimes we founders miss out on some skill sets. For example, somebody may be good at technology but not good at managing people. So what would you say are some of the struggles for you as a founder? Where did you lack as a founder, and you have to face some challenges for it? Uh,
Yeah, I think depends which business you are in. So, like if you look at us, we are in a business of imparting education and helping students to achieve their right career dreams, right? So, for us, what is important? So, for our kind of an edtech ecosystem, the fundamental pillars for us would be somebody to who can head a product. And when I say product, it is, say, suppose if there's any exam or any skill, somebody can work around content of that, delivery of that. Somebody can take care of academics. That's a very important pillar for us. All the classes are happening at the right time, the quality of the classes, time, doubt clearing. Third is very important thing, which is user acquisition. Uh, with and then a tech platform. These are the I'll say these are the building blocks for any company. In our case, we are three co-founders, I, Harsh, and Karan. Karan take care of product. Um, I take care of marketing, finance, strategy. Harsh take care of academics, and a fourth guy who's a CTO is also a large shareholder in the company, take care of the entire tech platform. His name is Rohit. So that's how we are structured. Yeah, so I think that's how things are moving for us.
You spoke about user acquisition. So the current edtech market is very competitive. I think the industry, the segment you operate in, there are multiple players who also do the same thing that you are doing. So how do you go about acquiring users, and any growth hacks that you have deployed which has worked well for you? maybe your competitors are listening to us. They will copy.
Yeah, I think one growth hack, which is very simple, and I advise everyone to kind of copy that, is please take care of your students, right? So I think um, what we have done quite well is that, so if you, let's look at the way education ecosystem has moved over last couple of say decades, right? When I was a kid, I have always seen an ad from a large coaching institute who was showing results, right? So that this is what I have done. These are my results. Please take admission from me.
Mm,
If you look at last 5, 6, 7 years, a lot of companies have stopped thinking about promoting the results. They are just promoting their products that, okay, come and buy this product without showing them a real outcome that are
mm,
there some successful students? Have this really worked out well for them? I think we have just taken a very traditional approach of getting some students in every product, making them successful, showcasing those results, again getting some more students, again showcasing more results. And I think this has worked. So this was our growth hack, that simply take care of students, because ultimately in education business, your word of mouth is very good, right? So this is one of the best ways to acquire a user. You cannot grow significantly with that, but without that also you cannot grow significantly. So if you have a good word of mouth plus a decent marketing ecosystem, you can then grow significantly. So what people do is that they put a lot of emphasis on marketing, no word of mouth, and then they try to grow significantly. This doesn't happen.
right. I remember a funny incident. There was a tech company, probably you would know the name, who would, make up some random stories about case studies, small kids building mobile apps and all. So
Yeah.
uh, it was a funny EdTech case study. So
Yeah, and a lot of companies have tried doing so. I think it was a good marketing tactic. I think one of the finest marketing tactic they have somebody has used, but it didn't translate it to an outcome. That's it. So in terms of acquiring a user through that tactic was good,
mm,
but because the outcomes were not there, so they failed. So word of mouth didn't work out for them.
correct. Now, coming back to our discussion, tell us uh, what are the different lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur that we can take away? So, all these years of entrepreneurship, I think you would have learned some timeless lessons, which are
Yeah.
applicable to all sort of ventures, not just edtech. So, tell us about it. What we can take away from your journey?
So I think starting from really being sure about starting something, right? So let's not be a Me Too entrepreneur, which means that everybody is becoming an entrepreneur. Let me also become an entrepreneur. So first is you should really have a passion to solve a problem. I got that passion quite late in my career. So I have jumped into an opportunity rather than solving a problem initially. But my I can still advise that I think from the time I have put myself into this ecosystem where I really want to solve this problem of careers beyond engineering and medicine. We are doing far better than the way we were doing earlier when we were just being opportunistic.
Mm.
Second, the way media shows you this journey in terms of being a poster boy in a lot of
Yeah.
cases. This is not true for everyone, right? It happens with very limited people. It's a game of perseverance, right? You
Mm.
need to be, you will see very hard times as part of this ecosystem. So be prepared for that mentally, prepare for that financially. So that's very important. Third is most important thing is having a right co-founder. Sometimes people take co-founders who have complementing skills, right? So sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes you just speak to someone and then say, okay, I think this looks okay. You become my co-founder. So there are a lot of rules. How should you choose a co-founder? Right from asking them, are they really excited about solving that problem? What is the family background they come from? How passionate they are in certain things? Have you seen any tough time with them, and have you seen how do you react and how that person react during that discussion. Can you have a family relation with that person, right? It's very important. Sometimes you're just friends outside your house. Can you take each other to your houses?
Mm.
A lot of those things. So I think finding a right co-founder is very, very, very important as part of this journey. The next step is building team, right? So you're able to build, are you able to build a right product? Then are you able to build a right team? Do you have a skill to sell and sell your product, or and sell your dream to raise capital? Both of these things are important. Um, yeah, I think a couple of these, a lot more, but I think these are these are the basic ones for someone to do, at least 0 to 1. Then 1 to 10 is a different game where, or 10 to 100 is a different game where you should have a skill to be able to hire people who are better than you. You
Mm.
should you should have a skill to take a back seat sometimes and let others solve certain things because they can do better than you in some cases,
Correct.
right? So a lot of these aspects. And yeah, I think there are hundreds of things. I think in my journey, I can talk a lot about what not to do rather than what to do. So I think that's about it.
My final one. Tell us, what is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you? How would you define the term entrepreneur? Who is an entrepreneur, or what are the skill sets that make an entrepreneur?
Good question. Okay. So I think entrepreneur, according to me, would be a person who is able to say spot a problem which is large,
Mm.
should be solvable, should be able to solve that problem. And if it is large, he should have an ability to scale and make money or create impact or both.
Mhm.
And so this is the first thing. And second thing, somebody who can have a constant thought process of hustling and have a perseverance. I think this should define an entrepreneur.
Got it. Well, on this note, we will close the session. Thanks for joining us, Gaurav, and it was a pleasure to have you on our platform. And our best wishes for Top Rankers.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.